Don't ever wanna look in the mirror, see what I become, see who I am, see what I done, blow smoke in the mirror, watch things get clear, how things get weird. Okay, so this video isn't scripted, this video, no notes, nothing. I just want to talk about Rick and Morty, and I gotta ask, any of y'all out there Rick and Morty fans, any subscribers of mine, anybody passing this video, do you love you some Rick and Morty? Because I'm not gonna lie, for the longest, probably about like 4 years now, and I think Rick and Morty started, I want to say, was it 2013? Somewhere around there, 2015. But about 2015 is when I first heard of Rick and Morty. I heard it was awesome. Didn't really get the time to actually, jump in and check it out. And when I did catch it, it was always like silly, oh, a moment here or there. So I never got the time to invest in it. Eventually, I sat down and I marathoned all 3 seasons of Rick and Morty in like, I don't know, probably a season, a night of some sort. It was about a week at the max that it took me to finish Rick and Morty, the 3 seasons, because that show, oh my gosh. And honestly, depending how it turns out, I might talk about season 4 here on the channel. That's how much I love it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I noticed about it and some of the things that I've been wanting to spill out everywhere if I got a chance to talk to some Rick and Morty fans. So with that being said, let's talk about the seasons. Between the 3 seasons, and I guess this is one of the questions I want to ask if you're watching this and you want to comment right now, which season of Rick and Morty do y'all think is the best, and which season of Rick and Morty do you think is your favorite? Because I think that that's something that is always, you got to distinguish immediately, because quality and favoritism, they're you know what I'm saying, that's a biased and unbiased mix, and they don't do too well. So I'll tell you right now, for me, I'll say season 1, I absolutely love the gritty nature of the jokes, and they address things, and obviously I know the stigma, Rick and Morty fans think they geniuses, and they think Rick and Morty, its level of writing and its level of humor and Rick and Morty themselves is what I feel makes this series really function. And that's why I feel as though from season 1 to 3, I'll put season 1 probably, or season 2 as up there, which I know that's the opposite for a lot of people. A lot of people, they say season 1 and 3. Most people say 3. For me, 3, which again, this is me speaking on behalf of the fact that, hey, I love Rick and Morty all 3 seasons, but putting them in some order of some sort that I feel as though critically and favorites wise, if I was to just say favorites alone, for me, different from you, season 2. I loved anything that had to do with the Citadel, anything to do with Evil Morty, which he wasn't really much in it. I think season 3, that was probably the best Evil Morty episode, but it was something about season 2 that I just loved it. I love the Galactic Federation, all the Ricks, all the funny humor. I think you can tell, and again, they addressed this with the Toxins episode, and I want to say it was season 3, that they kind of got a little toned down as the seasons went. It started off with Rick having Morty shove seeds up his ass that are like giant rocks. And then by season 3, it's Pickle Rick, which again, no hate on the Pickle Rick, bro. I love me some Rick and Morty, okay? So let's just be clear about that. But you definitely seen that it got toned down a little bit by season 3. Again, it's still there. It's still raw as hell, and it's still very intelligent. But Rick's character and Morty's character changed over time. And I'd like to add why I feel it changed instead of it just being because, which it probably is due to like, hey, this series is really picking up, and that'll be my theory. I'll talk about that in a second with season 3, but it could be that, again, the higher ups is like, yo, Rick and Morty's picking up. This is probably one of the biggest things we have. This probably is the biggest thing on Adult Swim. We need you to tone down a little bit so we can sell advertisement. That's what I feel happened. It's either that, or you could argue in terms of the plot and the story that Rick just dropped in on them from like, what was he gone for, like 20 years, whatever? He disappeared and then he comes back into their lives. Rick was on a nasty adventure. You see throughout the seasons of he was having addiction problems in space and other planets. Rick tried to kill himself at one given point. You can see that Rick was a lonely, miserable bastard in season 1. And you could argue that being with Morty, his grandson, and the silliness that they go through, the crazy adventures they go through, is what possibly made Rick a little bit more humanized, a little bit nicer. Because by season 2, you can see slightly the changes there that he's not as, but season 3, they changed a lot. And again, they addressed it, but I gotta just speak. I feel as though season 3, the way it was structured, it was awesome episodes, fun time all around. The ending was disappointing in a way. I remember that, I think it was one of the creators, or if not, the main guy behind all of this, had said that he wanted to end it on just like, a nice wrapped up note in case they didn't get picked up for season 4, we know season 4 and 70 episodes have been confirmed. We don't know how they're going to divide it up. Is it going to be 70 episodes, like 12 each year? What are they going to do? I would love Rick and Morty all year round, but as long as they don't mess with the story and the level of sarcasm and the level of comedy that this show brings forth, that's something that I feel as though Rick and Morty, which again, I believe it was inspired by Back to the Future. It started off as like some sort of comic, kind of parodying it, and then eventually it turned into what it is now. Rick and Morty just really has this edge, this feel to it, that it never wants to take itself too serious. Even when Rick, like, you know, we get the fake Rick backstory of how his wife blew up, it knows when to take itself serious and when not to. Like the scenes where Rick and Morty, especially I loved the episode where he was going to meet his heroes and Rick turned this all into some sort of Saw game where they all just, like, that was freaking crazy, and I love those episodes. But again, my favorite episodes is Evil Morty. I love seeing Evil Morty. I hope in season 4 and beyond that we get a lot more focus back, because it seems as though by season 3, again, a lot of the elements from season 1 and 2 started getting tossed out, and I don't know if it was due to research or whatever, but they got rid of Jerry for the most part. He wasn't a regular for I don't know how many episodes in season 3, which again, you could argue who really wants. I like seeing Jerry. Jerry to me reminds me of, and this is a guilty pleasure of mine, Alan Harper from 2.5 Men, especially towards the later seasons, which possibly that's where he was inspired, but I loved 2.5 Men, so I liked seeing Jerry on the scene, and it was just, again, it shows kind of like how in most households, the father is the punching bag, because what can you do? You know, kids is going to tell you, your wife, you know what I'm saying? So I loved and appreciated that part, and season 3 kind of removed him for the most part for a while from the series, and season 3 as well didn't really focus much on the Citadel. Again, I think that's them wanting, or Cartoon Network or Adult Swim shall I say, them wanting more episodic stuff. Episodic stuff, you could put ads in it. Anytime you play it, people won't feel as though they're missing out on an episode in the past, so they won't watch it, because that's the shitter about ongoing series. People by season 3, they're like, oh, I gotta watch season 1 and 2. So I feel as though season 3, they wanted to make it simple for anybody to get into Rick and Morty. For better or worse, there were fun episodes. There were some great episodes. It was interesting to see Jerry, the storyline, since he was removed from it, seeing him getting the girlfriend from outer space and eventually winning Beth's heart back. Like, that was awesome. Honestly, I don't know why. What was the real hate against Jerry? And of course, season 3 being so light on the Citadel and all of that, Evil Morty. I mean, that episode was the best episode, and we only got like one, so I'm hoping we get a lot more of that. Rick and Morty, just in general, absolutely freaking amazing, and it just always has me wondering, thinking about life, and I think that that's one of the cool things about Rick and Morty, is a lot of the theories that it poses and subject matter, you know, jumping in and out, breaking the fourth wall, everything that it does, it really makes you just think outside the box. And that doesn't mean that you're smart or you're better than anybody. It's cool if something can expand your mind and make you think outside the box. And that's something that Rick and Morty does so well. I guess one of the mysteries that keeps me going as a fan of the series is I want to see what is Rick's true motives. I mean, it felt as though, you know, for the longest time it was one of those, which it was in turn seemingly a fake backstory from Rick, that his big driving goal of coming back was something to do possibly with family, something like that. But again, you just never really know. And I think that that's one of the cool things about Rick and Morty, is that you could think real hard and you could come up with an amazing amount of conclusions, but Rick and Morty will flip it over its head. You know, when people thought, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to take Barack Obama out of Rick and Morty and turn him into Trump? They did something thinking outside the box. They left Obama as president, but made him have the same actions of like Trump. So again, poking fun at it. And I think, again, Rick and Morty, absolutely favorite show. I can't believe I'm even talking about it on here, but I just felt like, you know what? Maybe there's some Rick and Morty fans out there that'll understand why I love this series so much. And for me, it goes probably, if I was to order the seasons in the way I like them, and critically, maybe you could argue that season 3 structure was very nicely done. I'd say critically, I'd put season 1 at the top. So for me, it'd probably be season 1, 2, and 3 in order of like which ones I thought were critically best. And favorites, it would be probably 2, 1, and 3. And again, I know people are like, but I really love season 2. I loved everything with the Galactic Federation and all of that. The thousands of Ricks and all the Mortys and really digging deeper into the evil Morty and all that. It's freaking great. Rick and Morty, absolutely amazing. Kind of curious what you guys think though. For starters, would you like to see me talk about Rick and Morty when season 4 pops, whenever that happens? Again, I'd love to give a thought here or there. Also, what are some of your favorite bits from Rick and Morty? Again, there's just so many different things, like when Beth shot that one guy and I think everything is subliminally meaning something else. And that's just my opinion when it comes to Rick and Morty, which is cool that there's no meaningless things happening. Like that guy shows up episodes later, and looking at the plot and all that, it just always, every story has some sort of message, but a very sarcastic way of approaching it. And that's also why Rick and Morty works for me. I mean, your real thoughts, Rick and Morty, greatness. I can't freaking wait for season 4. There's going to be so many. I think every new episode of Rick and Morty, I don't know, I'm just going to have to talk about it somewhere. So you'll catch me on the internet talking about it. Rick and Morty, freaking awesome. But that's all I have for this quick and unexpected video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit the bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld. And as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. It's nights like this, and times like this, that I can give another hit. But I've got this inside a switch, a natural bliss, but that I